Welcome everybody. My name's Hazel England. I'm the Director of Outreach and Education for the Watershed Association. And this is very hard for me. I am a very hands-on person, and typically I would be walking all around the room. I would be asking you questions. It's a much more interactive experience, but I will give Zoom my best shot. I'm not good at talking without my hands. So we'll do our best. We'll do our best. So we have a whole series of talks that we do that ties in with our watershed friendly living program. And why are we doing that? Why are we talking about these things? So as an organization, we start and end with a focus on healthy water and healthy land. Where does your water come from? Where does it go after you're done using it? And what kinds of things can impact its quality along the way? So it's all about the Passaic River, where 1 million people get their drinking water. And the Watershed Friendly Living Program aims to help homeowners to give you sort of specific and actionable information so that you can change your practices, change your behaviors to make a difference in the health of the watershed. So far, we've given talks on environmentally friendly gardening, making rain gardens. And so environmentally sound cleaning products is just another way of looking at that. How can you live where your water use, your water quality, and your impact on the land are as light as possible. So that's really the major goal for today. On our website, and if you want to hang around at the end, we'll actually navigate over there. We actually have a standalone section of our website which is concerned with our watershed friendly living program. So you can click on a room, you can click on the bathtub, and you can see, what are some things you can do there to become more watershed friendly, whether it's reducing your use or, your environmental impact. Oops. So if you take a look under your sink, my sink does not look as tidy as that, I will say. But you probably have a whole host of products. And so what we'll do tonight is focus a little bit on the mode of action that is in the chemicals that are in those products, what ones you need to be wary of. But before we dive into that, I want to talk a little bit about the containers themselves. So if you pick up, the bottle of, all-purpose cleaner and you flip it over, on the base is going to be a number, and that number will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. And that's the plastic that bottle is made of. And so even before we get into the ingredients, bottles numbered 1 and 2 are recyclable all around our region. Many cleaning products come in bottles that are numbered 5, and those are not recyclable. They are recyclable, they are not currently recycled. So because of the downturn in the recycling market over the last few years, China's no longer taking our recycling. The market has really collapsed for many of those higher numbered plastics. And so numbers 1 and number 2 are recycled effectively, but if your cleaning products are coming in number 5, they're not. So there's an easy switch that you could make. At least the container that you're purchasing, choosing a product is going to be able to be recycled. The trigger and the hose are not. Those are multiple plastics combined. So just even before we get into the bottle, what your cleaning products are coming in, it can be an issue that you can modify. So consider purchasing, durable containers, either glass or aluminum or steel containers, or refilling and purchasing refills in recyclable packaging, using concentrated cleaners that come either in tablet form or as sheets where you add the water, because it's the water in these cleaning products that's heavy and makes the shipping and the distribution of them more difficult. So let's take a look at, the outside of the bottle to see if we can figure out what's inside the bottle. So how do you know what's inside the bottle? You look at the label, obviously, but that is not always an easy thing to discern. So the image on the left, we can see that this compound is corrosive, it's oxidizing, it's harmful, it's flammable. It contains sodium nitrate and sodium hydroxide. and here's the caution, right? That's pretty clear. The one on the right has an active ingredient of triclosan. It explains that that's an antibacterial, but it doesn't tell us anything else about the other ingredients. And so sometimes it can be quite hard to figure out, what does this cleaning product that you hold in your hand actually contain? So typically, the fewer the ingredients, the better. If the ingredient list is explained, so if the product on the right, it's telling you it's made with plant-derived ingredients, natural essential oils, and birch bark extract. It's made without all of this list of chemicals, right? You can know quite a lot about whether that's a safe and good product to purchase. Product on the left, it's telling you that the bottle is recyclable. It's telling you that it has propellant, but it's not really telling you a lot about what ingredients make that up. And that can be an issue. So let's think a little bit more about how can you tell if the bottle you're holding in your hand, you're in the ShopRite aisle, you're masked, you're there with everybody else looking for your cleaning products, which one of the many do you select? So if you look at this list of sort of seals and stamps, it can be really hard to discern which ones have weight, which ones have real environmental chops, and which are just empty speak. So if a product's labeled green or eco, that doesn't really tell you much about what's in it. Green is an overused term, eco-friendly. Many products are biodegradable. They might be labeled biodegradable. They could break down into toxic secondary compounds. So that doesn't necessarily make the product the most environmentally sound choice just because it's biodegradable. So how can you tell as the consumer? One thing you can do, the top left label here is the safer choice label. If a product that you're considering purchasing has that safer choice label, then it means that it meets a particular set of standards that the EPA has set forth. They've done due diligence on what some of the ingredients are. Those ingredients are not known to be harmful. It's got minimal toxicity. So if you see this safer choice label, that is one that can help guide your purchasing. And it's interesting which products have that and which do not. Many of your favorite cleaning products might not actually be in the safer choice database. And we'll talk a little later about ways that you can match up the products you use with how environmentally sound they are. There are several really good databases that you can use. So why is Great Swamp Watershed Association concerned with what you're using to clean your house? There's a whole range of reasons why we think it's important. Some cleaning products have direct toxicity. The product itself, if it's inhaled or absorbed through the skin, can be health damaging. Others are dangerous because they persist in the environment. You use them in your sink, you use them in the bucket, you flush them down your sink and they go into the sewer or the septic system and they cause their problems there. Or they are not broken down further in the wastewater treatment plant and persist in the environment to impact both wildlife, plant life, and water quality. And then sometimes products that you're using singly may be okay, but when they're combined with your neighbor's wastewater and the guy down the street's wastewater, the product ingredients can combine and form unintended secondary products that can be more harmful than either of the component products. So there are, health impacts that are immediate, things that are irritating, things that are, causing headaches. And then there are health impacts that are more longer term, things that are cancer causing, things that are affecting your endocrine or hormone system. And we'll talk a little bit more about those. But I just want you to understand that everything that you use in the shower, in the toilet, in your sink, in your scullery sink, when you flush that away, what's happening to that is it's going to the wastewater treatment plant. Great, you say, that means it's going to be removed from the waste along with all the solids. But the wastewater treatment plants were not engineered to remove the chemicals that are present in cleaning products. They were engineered to remove the poop, right? The sediments, the bacteria from our waste, to alter the pH, and then to release that cleaned, treated wastewater back into the stream or river where the wastewater treatment plant sits. Over time, we've started to put many, many more chemicals into our waste system. And so, you know, we're adding chemicals that they are just not capable of removing effectively. So one of the things that you need to be aware of is what's going down the drain is having an impact long after it leaves your sink or your bathroom. So let's have a look a little bit at the different categories of cleaning products. And the first category is degreasers. So, you know, detergents, laundry detergents, oven cleaners, things like that are degreasers because their main purpose is that the way you want them to clean is that you want them to break down the oils and fats. And so they are composed often of a degreasing agent that does that effectively, but they also will often have additional chemicals in them that hold the dirt once it's been pulled off your plate or your dirty laundry, that will hold it in the water and stop it redepositing. And those builders or additional compounds can actually be what causes the environmental issue. So some degreasers are made from petroleum. So many of our dishwashing detergents are actually derived from petroleum, or they can be derived from plants. So coconut oil, palm oil, things like that. So there's an easy thing that you can look at right away when you're choosing a detergent is it plant-based or is it petroleum-based? And the plant-based ones tend to biodegrade more harmlessly. They often, in laundry cleaning, in laundry degreasing, will also have enzymes which are engineered to break apart organic molecules, and that can also be a cause for concern. And I didn't grow up in this country, but I pulled some adverts from the past, so you may recognize more of these than I will. So yes, Madge, you use a dishwashing soap to soften your hands. That's actually softening her hands partly because your skin is filled with lipids. Lipids are fats. And so, yeah, it's softening your hands. It's actually degreasing your skin layer. Surfactants are the next class of compounds that are in many cleaning products. They're added because they lower the surface tension. Think about that old science experiment where you drop drops of water onto a penny and it forms a big bubble. Well, if you then add a drop of soap, that surface tension that's holding the water into the bubble breaks and the water flows off the penny. A surfactant is lowering the surface tension between two different liquids. And so it's used as a wetting agent. So you will find surfactants in many products, not just cleaning products. Herbicides use a surfactant because it allows the active chemical to work and stick onto the surface. So a surfactant is often just sort of breaking down and breaking up the fats into tiny droplets. And there's often additional chemicals there also. Abrasives, you know, as it would sound, why would we be concerned with those? Sometimes abrasives are acting as the sort of built-in elbow grease. You know, they have a particle size with a roughness to them that's going to scrub and physically remove molecules, but they can be composed of natural chemicals, things like quartz or silica. You know, salt is an abrasive, baking soda is an abrasive, calcium, feldspar, some of these minerals that are just ground up, or more recently, they can be composed of microplastic granules, which are engineered to not scratch surfaces. And that's where we get concerned. If there's plastics in your cleaning products, those plastics are going to find their way into the rivers and streams. And we're seeing increases in microplastic in the environment that are causing concern. So they're used to be that sort of physical elbow grease. They're often intended to be inert, and they remove, you know, sort of the oily films. Think about, you know, the kind of kitchen scourers that you're using in your sink. Since March, we're all about the disinfectants and antimicrobials. You cannot go into a store without seeing aisles filled with disinfectants, hand sanitizers right now. But, you know, although there are focused during COVID, disinfectants are used for a bunch of different reasons. They're used both to clean surfaces, to disinfect, which means to break up the cells of bacteria or microbes that we don't want on those surfaces. And their mode of action is that they kill the cells by breaking them open. Often we're using bleaches, we're using currently alcohol. Many of us are using alcohol in our hand sanitizers or surface wipes. There are many studies that show that some of the ingredients we use as disinfectants, triclosan is the one that comes to mind, can cause problems because their antimicrobial action can actually allow microbes to develop resistance to them. And so we're starting to see a buildup of, you know, bacteria that are resistant to these antimicrobial compounds. And overuse of triclosan, it's in many cleaning products, it's still in many personal hygiene products, although we're slowly phasing its use out, and it's certainly no longer in hand sanitizer. It's mostly been replaced by ethyl alcohol, but we're finding that triclosan is a very persistent class of chemicals. It can show up in the bloodstream of young girls who are absorbing it through their skin when they're wearing exercise clothing that is antimicrobial because it's been treated with triclosan. So that's one disinfectant, but you know, bleaches, alcohols, they work by breaking the cells that are present on the surface of the countertop or the knife or whatever it is you want to clean. And so one of the ways they work effectively is when you first remove some of the soil so that then you can treat the surface. But we need to be careful what we're leaving on the surface of food preparation areas, because some of these disinfectants do not mix with being ingested, right? They're good for cleaning things, but then once they've done their cleaning action, they must be removed by being washed down. And so understanding which ones you can leave on your surfaces and which need to be rinsed off is an important distinction. So bleach is one. We're using bleach in our laundries. We're using it added to many other cleaning products. It stinks, right? If you've ever opened a bottle of bleach, it stinks. So we're often using strong fragrances to cover the smell of the hypochlorite bleaching agent. And there are multiple types of bleach. Hydrogen peroxide is a more environmentally sound alternative, but you know, Clorox is a chlorine-containing bleach. And the problem there is that when that bleach leaves your drain, it's often mixing with other cleaning products. Maybe you're using Clorox to clean, somebody else is using ammonia. And when the bleach and the ammonia combine, they actually make a really dangerous off-gas third product, which is, you know, can be really deadly. So trying to reduce your reliance on strong bleaches and replacing them with more environmentally friendly bleaches, we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. So we don't tend to live, I grew up in an area that had limestone, and so we used to have to clean our dishwasher every second or third go round to remove the minerals that would be deposited when the water evaporates. So those spots that you get on your glasses or on your dishware, sometimes on your windows, come from minerals dissolved in the water being precipitated onto the surface. So the way that you get rid of them is you need to sort of dissolve those minerals in an acid. So many of the mineral stain and hard water spot removers that you might add to your dishwasher are acids, some of them quite strong acids. We used to use phosphates as an additive in our dishwashers. That's now been banned because the phosphate yes, it would remove the spots from your glasses, but then it would go out in the drain and into our streams. And phosphate, as you might know if you're a gardener, is a fertilizer, and it was causing problems with basically fertilizing the stream that it was flowing into through the wastewater treatment plant. So hard water treatments, those chemicals that are added to remove those minerals are often strong acids, which are both skin contact irritants and eye irritants. They can trigger asthma, and in some people also trigger migraine. And then some of the specialized stain remover, those are those things that you see at the end of the aisle, you know, to remove wine or pen. And many of them contain volatile organic compounds that are derived from petroleum. Those are hydrocarbons that can be absorbed directly into the skin. They're often toxic at very low levels. Sometimes they have very strong enzymes in them. So just looking at you know, what's the stain you're trying to remove, and you know, going for one of these specific, Stain Devils is a brand, I mean, you know, it's not the only one, but you know, some of these Goo B Gon or types of environmental cleaners for specific stains can have quite strong chemicals in them that you really need to be wary of. Those organic molecules that they contain can often persist long after they leave your you know, your house and head off down into the wastewater system. So those organic molecules tend to be the classes of molecules that we tend to be concerned about. And then polishes, you know, historically it was beeswax, it was you know, naturally derived animal or plant derived waxes and oils. Nowadays, most of the polishes are containing petroleum derived polishes or have silicone added to bring shine and to form a seal between your wood and the dirt. And those can be the issue because again, they contain these volatile organic compounds. And then, you know, fragrances, you don't have a bottle of fragrance under your sink, but you might well have a fabric softener, which is heavily fragranced, and almost every cleaning product, unless it explicitly says it's not, will contain fragrances. And we're wary of them because they can be very long-lived. You know, if you're spraying Febreze and it's going to last for weeks on the surface of your curtains or your furniture, you know, it's lasting because that's a very persistent chemical, and it's made so by being stabilized. And often these fragrances are stabilized with formaldehyde, and formaldehyde is a very toxic chemical. So we're concerned when we see artificial fragrances. If your product contains, you know, perfume, right? If that's all it says, it could be that the fragrance itself is a mimic of the natural fragrance and chemically derived. They tend to be stronger irritants. I know fragrance is a trigger of migraine for many people, myself included. It's a trigger for asthma. And so we're finding that fragrances, when you go into a bathroom and it puffs a jet of fragrance into the air, when I'm out walking every night, I can tell which neighbors are using which fabric softeners, because the fragrance molecules are so concentrated and they're so persistent. So we consider fragrances sort of as a separate class, even though they're added to many of these other cleaning products. So if we look at, you know, the different types of products you might have under your sink or in your laundry room, you know, why should we be concerned about each of these types? So air fresheners you know, those are an easy one. Many of us use them. Those are an easy one to clean up. You can go to an air freshener that doesn't have a propellant. The propellant is going to be an organic molecule. It may be contributing to greenhouse gases as it pumps the molecules out into the air. They may have formaldehyde to stabilize the fragrance, and then the fragrance itself can be an issue. So, you know, switching to a less harmful air freshener, if you feel you need to use one, can mean just going to one that essential oils rather than artificial fragrances. But it's hard sometimes to find out the ingredients. If you love, you know, a particular brand of air freshener and you look at the label and it's very hard to see what ingredients are in it, contact the manufacturer. You know, go to the environmental working group site I'm going to share with you in a little while and actually drill down and see what are those ingredients. The manufacturer often doesn't want to reveal exactly what those ingredients are because they're sort of trade secrets. They can, you know, they're proprietary, but you should be able to persist and find out what's in them if it's a product you want to use, or, you know, you can switch to baking soda as a great deodorizing agent, whether applied onto carpets or and then vacuumed up, or, you know, just to put in a bowl. Cloves are a great natural deodorizing agent, essential oils, lemon, or any other citrus peel. And so, you know, maybe you can achieve the same thing you were achieving with an air freshener in a more natural way, and reduce your triggers for asthma, especially now while we're, you know, dealing with COVID. You certainly don't want to be triggering any other kind of lung irritation. Scourers, similar to talc, which we used to use, you know, all over the place, and we're now aware that the talc, the particle size is so small we can actually inhale it. It goes deep into our lungs and can rest there. And so just as you can get asbestosis when those asbestos fibers go into your lungs, you can get talcosis when talcum powder and these other fine powders goes into your lungs. And many of these scouring agents are ultra fine, and so you have to watch for direct inhalation. There are also some of them, they have a physical abrasive, but they've also got powdered bleach, and they're cleaning because they have a bleach additive. And so just looking at the label and going to the simpler, more physical abrasives rather than the chemical cleaners that are added to them. Bonami or Barkeeper's Friend, you know, very simple, just physically, you know, physically abrading. And if you want to go natural, going to rough salt or baking soda, or even something like toothpaste or stale bread, which are incredibly effective natural scourers. Window cleaners, another class, almost everybody is going to have those. The way they work, remember, they're removing sticky fingerprints. So the sticky fingerprints are oil-based. So they want to have a degreaser in them to break down those oils and streaks that might be on your window. So here we're dealing with chemicals that tend to be very strongly acid or very strongly alkaline. That's what you need to break down those oils. So window cleaners historically were ammonia based, and ammonia is a very potent cleaner, but it's also a very toxic chemical. And so ammonia itself is an irritant, but then when it mixes with other cleaning agents, it can form really highly toxic secondary compounds. And so trying to simplify your cleaning product list and getting ammonia out of the list is really super helpful. You can replace it with vinegar. Vinegar is a weak acid and makes, you know, great streak-free window cleaning. You know, a simple recipe would be 1 to 2 parts vinegar, 4 parts water, put it into a spray bottle. You can add a couple of drops of food color so it looks just like Windex, but it doesn't have the ammonia. And now there's a broader range of cleaning products around. You can actually now buy vinegar-based Windex and ammonia-based Windex, and they clean, you know, essentially the same way. I think the more effective strategy is to use whatever cloth you're using is probably going to be more effective than the weak acid that you're using to get rid of the streaks. And newspaper, the old traditional way of cleaning windows, works because the newsprint is a weak acid when you wet it, and then it's also a micro abrasive, so it's super effective at cleaning. So, you know, a simple home-based vinegar mix and some newsprint, and you can clean your windows without that harmful ammonia. Carpet cleaners are not everybody uses them, but carpet cleaners, fabric cleaners, maybe it's you rent the machine from the ShopRite and it comes with this bottle that contains Scotchgard. So any of these carpet cleaners that are also protecting the fabric from getting dirty again. They have, you know, sort of repellent chemicals. That's one issue, but just the chemicals that are in the cleaners themselves are often quite harsh. Many carpet cleaners, strong carpet cleaners, have Scotchgard. Scotchgard contains perfluorochemicals. They're incredibly persistent. So what we're finding is that some of these organic compounds that are effective in cleaning just don't break down in the environment. As an organization, we're just about to start testing the Passaic for the presence of these perfluorochemicals. What you would expect is downstream from waste treatment plants, sure, you might find them. What we're actually finding is, and the US Geological Survey has done a lot of research on this also, is we're actually finding they're present in streams upstream from any wastewater plant. So they're coming, you know, from the environment, from our homes, from our yards, because they're so, they're just everywhere. So these chemicals in carpet cleaners, they're both direct irritants. They can cause dizziness and nausea because they're directly going into the bloodstream and getting into the central nervous system, and they have a direct effect there. Often PFOAs mimic our endocrine system hormones, and so they're causing effects there. And then they're also known to be carcinogenic and mutagenic, which means carcinogenic, causing cancer in you, mutagenic, potentially affecting the next generation, so your sex cells. So not a class of compounds you want to mess with. You know, if you have dogs or cats playing on your carpets, if you have babies crawling across your carpets, you certainly, you know, want to be wary of what you're putting on them. Alternatives would be, you know, cleaning, spot testing first, but cleaning with a, you know, more natural soap. Fresh stain you treat with something like a seltzer water or a baking soda, and then blotting. But, you know, stopping the stains from setting in the first place means you don't have to use these harsh chemical cleaners to clean a dirty carpet in the end. And there now are alternatives that are more environmentally sound. They're biodegradable compounds, and they're plant-derived cleaners rather than organic derived cleaners. Metal polishes, again, work by, you know, if you think of, you know, they're cleaning silverware, the dirt there is tarnish. And so the metal polish works by both abrasive, removing the tarnish, and also a chemical reaction. So they tend to contain often very strong acids, some of them ammonia, which is the opposite of an acid, a very strong base, but harsh chemicals, irritant to the lungs, irritant directly to the skin. So you certainly want to wear gloves when you're using these. What can you use if you want to clean the tarnish off your silverware? I will tell you that I switched 4 or 5 years ago to cleaning my kettle with Arm & Hammer toothpaste on a toothbrush, and it is an incredibly effective cleaner. It's a micro abrasive. The baking soda in the toothpaste is a micro abrasive, but it doesn't, you know, damage the metal. You can use simple salt as a micro abrasive. If you want to get rid of tarnish from silverware, an easy thing to do would be you put a tablespoon of baking soda, a tablespoon of salt into a liter of water. I'm sorry, I'm in metric because that's how I grew up. Boil that up, and then you add a strip of aluminum foil, and then dip your silverware or whatever you need to clean into that, and the tarnish will be removed. So there are definitely less damaging chemicals that you can use to have the same effect when you need to clean your silverware. Disinfectants, you know, I think the main things to think of here: read the label, avoid triclosan. Read the label to see, do you need to remove the product before you use that surface as a food preparation surface, especially now where we're super conscious about disinfecting surfaces. thinking of using hydrogen peroxide as your cleaning and disinfecting agent, or alcohol as a cleaning and disinfecting agent, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to break those cells open of the virus or the bacteria that you're trying to remove. Borax and hot water, that's also a good combination. So all very simple alternatives. Even some of the plant oils, things like thyme, eucalyptus, menthol, those have a natural disinfecting effect. And in the resources, we'll put a couple of recipes for making natural disinfectants that obviously can be used on food preparation surfaces, things like chopping boards, that kind of thing. So here's, we talked a little bit about this already, some of the least wanted, triclosan. Why are we concerned about this? Because we're finding that so much triclosan is added to products that we don't even think about. If you have a pair of inserts in your shoes, deodorizing inserts in your shoes, they've probably been treated with triclosan. If you have, clothing, athletic clothing that you've purchased that's anti-stink, whether it's socks or athletic wear, they've often been treated, the fibers have been treated with triclosan. So it's quite hard to avoid. You need to really pay close attention when you're seeing antimicrobial. Make sure that the antimicrobial action is not coming from triclosan, because we really shouldn't be using this chemical except in hospital settings where we need it to be an effective microbe killing, and we haven't. We've been using it in our hand soaps and our shampoos and our baby bath, and overusing it so that we're developing this bacteria resistance, and that's the main problem. So if you can clean this one out of your cleaning products, that's really a huge step forward. We're finding that triclosan is showing up in the blood of young girls who are just absorbing it directly through their clothing, absorbing it from their hand sanitizers. So this is one that has long-term impacts. It's known to be a sex hormone mimic, and so this is one to avoid at all costs if you can. I can't even say this well, but phthalates. Phthalates are these artificial fragrances, these organic compounds that are added. So if you're seeing that in a label, or if you're seeing conversely a product that is phthalate free, then those are the ones to move towards and try and avoid those that are containing phthalates. It's almost impossible to avoid it. It's added to everything. Recent results show that more than 1 billion pounds of phthalates are produced every year, and 95% of the population is going to have some in their blood. It's in perfume, it's in deodorant, it's in the personal hygiene products and your cleaning products. And we've known that it's a harmful compound since the 1940s. There was a study done in 2009 that showed that children exposed to high levels of phthalates had early breast development. They because it mimics these sex hormones, kids are becoming developed more earlier on because they're getting these artificial endocrine chemicals into their blood from the products that they're using. So, avoiding phthalates, looking for phthalate free, or it might say no synthetic fragrance. That's the route you want to take to get this one out of your house. Nobody wants to use a compound that causes cancer, but several products that we use regularly that contain 1,4-dioxane. 1,4-dioxane has been found to be a cancer-causing product. It's in, some of the lower cost products are using cheaper ingredients, and they tend to have this. So again, carefully looking at the labels to see if you see 1,4-dioxane, that's certainly one to avoid. One of the problems is not just the compound itself, but again, how it breaks down when it's in the wastewater treatment plant, when it's in the stream, it's breaking down with sunlight into second and tertiary compounds, which are also harmful to health. Okay, so now I've completely scared you. You're thinking, what can I do? I can't wash with anything. I can't clean with anything. But don't panic. Um, there are, a few simple things that you can do that will make a huge difference. And the first thing is just to educate yourself, and that's what you're doing tonight. Read the labels. Look for the compounds that we've talked about tonight. And you don't need to remember a whole list. You don't need to be an organic chemist to know, put it on a little cheat sheet and just research the most damaging chemicals and look for the top 5. If it has that in it, no, you're not going to purchase it. Move towards products that show their ingredient list fully. If they have nothing to hide, they're going to be touting that. They may be charging a little more for it, but they're going to be touting that, their ingredients are organically derived, they're plant-based, they don't contain artificial fragrances, they don't contain artificial stabilizers, those kinds of things. So always erring on the side of fewer ingredients is a good way to go. I'm going to show you next an amazing resource that is put together by the Environmental Working Group. EWG is a great nonprofit organization. You should go there as a science, sort of well-respected, believable science organization that will do market research on a whole host of different types of products. But they have a database for cleaning products. They've evaluated almost 3,000 cleaning products and have given them a score. So you can type in, Windex, whatever the product is, and they will tell you, first of all, its score, and then in these different metrics that they study, why it got the score it did. Oftentimes the product will score poorly because they're not able to learn what ingredients it contains. And that's a problem, because if you don't know what product what the ingredients are, you can't see if they're going to cause a problem. So, many of the products that may not actually be that hazardous to health score poorly because they don't share the information with what's in them. But they'll then say, what are the environmental issues that you need to be concerned about for each of these 2,800 products. Just simplifying the type and range of products you use means that you can research and move towards products that have less environmental impact, and then use one multi-purpose cleaner, one sort of glass and window cleaner, one abrasive cleaner, and then start moving to the more natural cleaning alternatives for those one-of-a-kind or unusual cleaning scenarios that would often have a harsh chemical load in them if you purchase them. So this is one database, and when we share this slideshow, we'll share the link to this, which is at the bottom. This is the Environmental Protection Agency's database of safer choice products, that little seal that we showed at the beginning. So you can see, is the product that you use on their accredited list. This is the Environmental Working Group's database, and you can see, the product, the grade it got, what are the environmental concerns, and what do you need to be concerned about. And then it will also offer you that same class of cleaning product, what's one that is less environmentally damaging. This is the main splash page for the Environmental Working Group. So this is when you go to their website and then go to their cleaning product database. You can search either by, what ingredient. So you have an ingredient, you want to know if it's okay, what product, or just educate yourself more about the types of compounds you need to be wary about. So if you have something that you love to use, Granny used it, it makes you think of home, you found it to be really effective, should you just throw it in the garbage? The first thing to do is to research its ingredients. Learn, what's in it? Does it have anything you need to be concerned about? Check it against the Environmental Working Group database. And if you can't find the information you need, write to the company, go directly to the product website and ask the question, what's in this? Sometimes, they'll give you a full answer, or it might be on their website. It's just not on the back of the bottle. And then switching to less harmful ones, here's, you know, what your granny had under her sink. It's going to be things like baking soda, which is a natural deodorizing agent. It's an abrasive. It also forms a weak acid. Borax, soap, which is plant derived, not petroleum derived. Vinegar, the acid we get from orange and lemon, or washing soda. This is sort of like the arsenal of natural compounds that you want to start building up if you want to really go full on to less harmful cleaning products. And they have different actions, but they're often mimicking these more complicated chemicals that we are buying when we buy direct from the supermarket. So borax is a natural disinfecting agent. It's great to add to laundry. It's great to make up. If you buy yourself a reusable spray bottle, you can use that in a, you know, hot water and borax, use that as your cleaning and just make it up fresh when you are ready to do your cleaning. Many of these natural cleaning agents, because they don't have these added chemicals that stabilize them, they don't last forever, especially if you're adding fresh lemon juice to something, you know, it's going to spoil after a while. So you make up a small batch, you use it over the course of a week or 10 days, and then you make a new batch. And they're pretty simple to do. So we have some more information on our website with some recipes that you can use. Excuse me, some recipes that you can use to make up, you know, an all-purpose cleaner, a window cleaner, a carpet cleaner, some specific cleaners, and we'll certainly share that with you after. And then we'll share out the PowerPoint, and you can see some of these other resources where you can get some more information. And then I'm going to actually share our website. If I stop sharing here and start sharing the Environmental Working Group's website, I can just show you what's going on there. Let me just see. So, okay. Here we go. So this is our splash page on the Great Swamp Watershed Association website for our watershed friendly living. And you can see if I, you know, if I go to the bathroom, I can click on that, and then there's a little drop of water by the tub. What's that going to say? It's telling me ways I can save energy or save water. So you can click around the house here and see that kind of information. And then this is the Environmental Working Group's website. So I can type in, you know, fantastic, and up will come, oh, there was no results. I must have spelled it wrong. Let me do something simple like Windex. Okay. Right, and so you can see here's all the different types of Windex. Windex multi-surface cleaner, Windex multi-surface disinfectant cleaner. You can see the score. Let's just look at this first one. It gets a B. That's not a bad score. Why does it get that grade? If I click through. Okay, it's a B because there's some concern that a chemical that's in the ingredient list causes asthma. There's the skin allergy. It's probably, this is a ammonia containing product. And there's some developmental and reproductive toxicity. So it's telling you why you should be concerned. It tells you the ingredient list and what score those ingredients get. And then, which, I mean, look at the list, I mean, of ingredients. There's a huge list. And then it will actually show you whether it's green certified, and it's probably not, I would say. So you can do this same search yourself just by typing in ewg.org and searching for the cleaning products you use. The ones that you don't want to use anymore, what should you do with those? Those should be disposed of effectively. You can put them, you can recycle the container, you can mix the liquid with something like coffee grounds or cat litter, put that into your garbage, and then take that so it's out of the water waste stream and into the landfill waste stream. So that's my, I'm going to stop sharing. That's my don't panic lecture for how you can clean your your cleaning products up, but I would love to answer any questions if anybody has questions.
We had one question a little bit early on when you were talking about the tarnish remover. Somebody asked about the specific process or measurements for that one.
For the homemade one, you mean?
Yes, for the homemade version.
Yeah, so it's a tablespoon of salt, a tablespoon of baking soda, in a liter of water. You put it into a pan and boil it up. You add just, you know, it doesn't matter the amount, you know, just a piece of aluminum foil crunched up. Add that in, and then you just dip your silverware in, and then dry it with a cloth, and it will remove the tarnish pretty effectively. Any other questions? Hopefully I haven't freaked you all out. No other questions?
No other questions.
Okay, I probably
time,
scared
like.
you all. So what we'll do is we'll, a copy of the recording will go up onto our website with a link to it, and then we'll mail out some of the environmental cleaning recipes that we have. It's sort of as a recipe card that you can actually print out, you know, put on the inside of your cleaning cupboard and then make them up. If you, it looks like we're in for a long winter, you can do a lot of cleaning with just those few simple sort of alternative ingredients. But, you know, the main thing is to simplify your products and think of those top four, you know, remove the fragrance, remove the phthalates, remove the triclosan, and just go for plant-derived rather than organic derived, chemically derived ingredients. And that would go a long way to helping you be as environmentally friendly as you can while you're cleaning.
We had one more question. Have you, Hazel, heard of Force of Nature, that specific product?
So I don't know that one. I know there's a lot of new cleaning products coming on the market that are filling that niche of they are, maybe they're a concentrate, so it's a tablet or it's a sheet where you add the water yourself, and so they're coming in paper wrapping so that they're plastic free, and they're sort of like hitting all the gold standards for being environmentally friendly. I was in Whole Foods last week, and there are whole ranges of cleaning products that that they sell that are organic and certified to this, but they're expensive. But if you go to a typical supermarket now, I think over the last 2 or 3 years, we've really started to see a growth in these supermarkets carrying some of the more environmentally friendly ranges, and they don't have to break the bank. You can buy plant-derived washing up liquid, for the same price now as you can buy Palmolive or an antibacterial washing up liquid. So, we're starting to see more people are aware of wanting to live lightly and wanting to be mindful of what they're putting on their bodies and using in their houses. And so I don't know that specific range, but I would type, the working group database, the EWG database, has a huge range of products. So, you can put it in, and they also have a way that you can add a product for consideration, and they'll do the research and then add it to the database, because it's definitely growing. Somebody else had to ask the question, what about palm oil and products? Okay, palm oil, if I say palm oil in front of my kids, they go up in arms. So palm oil is a plant-derived oil, so it has that going for it. But we know that often the palm oil that we're using is being harvested from palm oil plantations that have been put in the place of diverse rainforests. And so using palm oil extensively in cleaning products, yes, gets you the gold star for not being petroleum derived, so it's a technically renewable source, but palm oil has that sort of black mark against it for the damage it's causing to environments where the palm oil plantations are. Coconut oil is a good alternative. Some of the cleaning products are using other nut oils. Almond oil is a common one, where they're grown in ways that are maybe not as damaging to the environment as palm oil is. Okay, well, I am going to let you, we're right bang on an hour. I'm going to let you all get off because I'm sure you're all going to be cleaning your house all night long. So I will leave you to it and say thank you so much for joining us.